Hey people, CzarThwomp here, and welcome to episode 30 of the Great Ace Attorney Investigations. Last time, we were doing some investigating around the crime scene area, and then we proceeded to go over to Sherlock Holmes' house, in which we met the little girl from before, Iris. And now we are going to examine the place and see what's up, see what's going on. Okay, let's go. Okay, checking around. Okay, sorry. Just messing with some things. Let's start from left to right, shall we? Okay, magic 8 ball, the Wushigi ball, the magic Wushigi ball. You remember Wushigi balls back when they were a thing? Okay. What on earth is this huge over-the-top machine?
That's the great analytoscope. He can analyze anything, really, anything at all. That's absolutely incredible. It's one of Hurley's inventions. It took him a whole year. He said it was helping with his investigations. What sort of thing has he analyzed with it, do you know? Well, actually, he hasn't used it for anything yet. Oh.
Why not?
Apparently, on the evening he finally completed it, it suddenly occurred to him. I don't actually have anything I need to analyze. Oh, dear. How about you, Bruno? Do you have anything you'd like to analyze?
The only thing that springs to mind is this machine itself. Yeah, it's just, this is the guy who somehow managed to get a man arrested. There's all sorts of these shelves. Chemistry, apparatus, books, papers, and lots of things I've never even seen before. It's all heaped so high, I can't help but feeling that the whole lot is going to top one at any moment.
Early not to crowd so much on those shelves, and I only just defeated the opium. I only managed to clean out the opium while he was away.
Good advice.
He wanted to look something up in one of those books a while ago, but he was so tightly wedged in he couldn't get it out, so he went and bought a new copy instead.
Yes, the violin. Ah, I've seen pictures of Western musical instruments like this. It's called a violin, isn't it?
Of course it is. Mr. Sholmes is renowned for his violin playing.
Oh, really?
Absolutely, it's often explained in the stories. It's inspirational, Mr. Naruto. Inspirational! I immediately started playing the koto, which was the closest Japanese stringed instrument I could find.
What a shame you couldn't bring it with you to London.
Oh, yes. Well, Papa was beaming when I asked him if he would buy me one. But after a while, he asked if I would only practice when he was out of the house.
So now it's merely
an ornament in my room.
That must have been an awkward conversation. Second-rate strings. But yeah, another big reason why I believe that Sherlock is related to is the ancestor to the Gavin brothers is because in Christoph's cell in Apollo Justice, you will see that there's actually a violin in a glass case there, which basically makes me think that just Christoph inherited the violin is basically it was passed down to him from his parents who passed it down to him from there. It's basically just all the way from Sherlock. And plus I can imagine Christoph taking that as like a big thing of pride. Just the legendary Sherlock Holmes was his ancestor and played the exact same violin that he played. Okay, let's search around, nothing. Yeah, let's just investigate this area. Cow. Oh wait, did we check the wall there? Because it looked like there was something there. Yeah, I knew it. Almost missed something. Why are there all those bullet holes in the wall up there? Was Mr. Sholmes trying to shoot a pesky fly or something? I could easily imagine that happening.
Mr. Sholmes would never do something so reckless. He would take out a bazooka instead.
No.
Those are letters VR standing for Victoria Regina. It's Latin for Queen Victoria.
You mean he shot the queen into the wall?
In a moment of boredom, Mr. Sholmes adored the wall with a patriotic sign. That's all. As pistol practice.
Right, that makes perfect sense now.
It's exactly as described in the stories. Oh, this is a delight.
I'm not sure that the real explanation is any less reckless than shooting away a fly, personally.
It's patriotic, Mr. Naruto. Patriotic!
Okay, let's search around. Yes, Sherlock, yes, don't hang your country's flag on the wall. No, you shoot the name of the leader into the wall. The letter with a knife. I do like the fireplace. It's one of the best things I've seen since arriving in this country, in fact. Lingering beside the fire and watching the flames flicker and dance in the grate. Ah, it's so relaxing.
We can't relax on when there are so many interesting things to see on the mantelpiece. Oh, it's just as described in the stories.
It is?
Yes, exactly. Inside that Persian slipper, for example. Oh, my chocolates for elfinesses. And transfixed by the large jackknife. It's my shopping list for the market. Oh, it's not quite how I remembered it being described in the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes.
Poor Susato-san. She looks crushed. She needs a hug. She met her hero. She made the mistake. Okay. Search around. Nothing. We can check with the gramophone. Yes, the wall. Sherlock and his shoe.
A mystery shoe, a curious hammer, some mysterious dancing men, and a bust of Napoleon. Ah! What an entrancing collection!
This is the first time in my life I have seen a lovely old shoe displayed as an ornament. A lonely old shoe.
Oh, it's those old mementos that Hurley has collected from his past cases.
Really? Even the bust?
Yes, that's right. When the mute takes him, he likes to throw it at the floor and smash it to dust.
The poor, defenseless emperor. Mr. Holmes destroys it?
Yes, and then he buys a new one.
You make it sound like he has the temperament of an insane sculptor.
Ah, how enticingly bohemian of him.
Hey, I've never smashed a statue on the ground. At least not intentionally. Okay. Anything else? The treasure chest. It looks like that huge metal chest is being used as a table for tea and coffee. It seems very sturdy, with an equally sturdy lock.
Mr. Naruto, you mustn't go around opening things. I always have to keep an eye on you, don't you? You're very mischievous.
How did you come to that conclusion?
Oh, that chest contains some of my most valuable things.
And that smile tells me you're not going to give away any clues about to what they are. Okay, let's search around. Nothing. It's too bad they don't have a bloody ace there. Check all the things. What a beautiful English tea set, and so neatly arranged.
It's a favorite pastime of mine, a cup of herbal tea in the afternoon. Tea made of herbs?
That is essentially what tea is, Susato.
That's right, I grow all sorts of herbs in the garden so I can experiment with different blends. One moment, don't go away. I brewed a pot of special blend I came up with earlier today.
She looks delighted. I only hope it's safe to drink.
It contains artequinine. Ah, that's my blackboard where I note down ideas.
Ooh, interesting. Let's see. Black Peter. What does that mean?
Don't you want to hear what Iris is to say, Mr. Naruto?
I'll come back to that blackboard later. That's a charming little white shelf, and full of charming little bottles, too.
Oh, yes, but don't touch any of those. They might explode.
Explode?
Are they exact chemicals? Do you use them for exciting experiments that are very, very exciting? Yes, indeed. As Hurley always said, chemistry is an explosive science.
Sorry?
I agree. A single discovery can trigger an explosion of innovation all around the world.
Or perhaps he just meant it literally. Either way, mental note, do not touch any bottle that belongs to Iris. Okay, we can move on. We can't expect the lights. We can inspect the lamp, though. What on earth is that big black lump over there?
Ah, that's the same thing. It's called a typewriter. It's a machine that allows you to write on paper without needing a pen. And wizardly quick, too.
Oh, that sounds like something that could be very useful to someone like me with terrible handwriting. Amen to that, Ryunosuke! Amen to that! You don't know the pain of having terrible handwriting. Really, if you ever read my handwriting, you would not be able to decipher it. You would be doomed. Okay, we can inspect her chair. Oh, that chair can't be comfortable. I mean, just, it has no support. It doesn't have any neck support. Okay, we inspected everything in this house. Let's present. Oh wait, did we check those books? Okay. Okay, we're all good. Present. The armband. Iris, could I show you this?
Oh, how exciting! Tell me about it.
Oh, actually, I was hoping you might be able to tell me something about it, if anything comes to mind.
Why would it?
Well, no, I suppose it wouldn't.
Tell me! I want to hear everything!
This hasn't gone according to plan. Iris, okay, Iris is just going to say exactly what she's been saying, so let's get a move on. Let's talk to her, converse. Iris. It was you that we ran into yesterday, wasn't it? At the Old Bailey?
Yes, that's right. You were ever so helpful. Thank you so much. Oh, no, not at all. I'm so sorry we couldn't have been more welcoming.
Though at the time, we did have a rather large gun pointed at us.
He feeling lucky, punk? Like this? Thinking back now, you left with Miss Lestrade in tow, didn't you?
Oh yes, that awkward witness, Gina Lestrade.
Oh, Jeannie? Yes, she's a professional pickpocket.
So we found out.
It was very naughty of her to pinch my invention like that.
Are you referring to that trial-disrupting, gun-like contraption?
Exactly, so I followed her, you see, to get it back. Perhaps I should think about fitting a self-destruct mechanism in my inventions.
This girl is dangerous.
Anyways, I brought Ginny back. I brought Ginny back here after that. So she could apologize to my trusty technician.
Sorry, your technician.
Hurley, of course, silly. Hurley? Yes, Sherlock Holmes. We live here together.
I had no idea the great detective had such an interesting young daughter.
Daughter? Not likely.
What?
I wouldn't call him Hurley if he was my father, would I? Well, to be fair, I don't respect him anyways. If he was my father, I still wouldn't call him that because I don't respect him.
Well then,
what is your relationship with Mr. Holmes? Well, I expect you found out that lodging of any kind in London are very expensive.
Okay, just check out my volume. Just see how that's going. Sorry.
So the solution is to get the cost with a partner, a roommate.
Your roommates?
I hope you don't mind me asking, Iris, but how old are you? 10 at last year.
Well, what of your mother and father?
I know. They're not around.
Oh, I see. I wonder what the story is there. Wilson.
Oh, yes, there's something I must ask you. Of course. Go ahead, Susie. I am a very great fan of the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, and you have a copy of Rand's magazine. Yes, I read every issue. It's delivered all the way to Japan on a ship. Oh, this is so exciting. My stories are being read on the other side of the world.
My stories?
That's right. Hurley is always solving such amazing cases, you see, and he tells me all about them. They're usually quite fascinating. It would be a shame if I was the only one who ever heard of them, don't you think? Goodness! Last night, he was telling me about a new case he just solved on a seizure traveling from a faraway land. So I was just in the middle of typing up the manuscript for the next issue before you came. So you are the author? Yes, I'll let you in on secret if you like. I'm going to call this latest adventure the Speckled Band.
The Speckled Band? That's certainly very familiar.
Of course, I always change one or two details in the story, here and there. This time, I had the idea of making a venomous snake be the cause of all the trouble.
Oh, that was Mr. Sholmes' first fall as well, actually.
Yes, And of course I know that Snake might not be a credible fit for the facts of the case exactly, but it's a story. Some poetic license is justified to make it more enduring, I think, don't you? So, do you mean to say, are the stories about Mr. Holmes that are published in the Rants magazine? All written by me, yes, on my wonderful and very modern typewriter. They're fiction. But all the stories I read are written by a doctor of medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson.
Ugh, my throat. Susano-san's getting more and more worked up.
Ah, yes, that's me. I mean, my name is really Wilson. But what about the doctor of medicine part? I can say whatever I want. That's all true, too. I am a doctor of medicine.
No, at 10 years old? Yes, Francisca finally found a worthy opponent.
At 10 years old?
Well, that's quite incredible.
But, Dr. Wilson is an English gentleman. Ah, yes. I did alter the setting slightly, so for the story to be more compelling. Oh. Well, it sounds a little strange, doesn't it? A great detective with a 10-year-old girl in tow? I suppose it does, yes.
Poor Susato-san. She looks like her whole world is just falling apart. Susato is me after playing Danganronpa V3. Your deductions just now. About before.
Yes. What's on your mind, Bruno? Do tell.
How do you know that I was a lawyer and we just arrived in London, I mean?
Oh, because you matched Holmes' description. He said you are a weenie.
Oh, yes, and that we have a difficult trial tomorrow. How'd you know about all that?
Oh, that's what you mean.
Please, tell us how you did it. Explain every detail.
Of course, I'd be delighted, although there's really no mystery. Now, let's begin. Iris was his proud to present the Logic and Reasoning Spectacular.
I'm in the Matrix.
First of all, I knew that you were a lawyer, Runo. After all, I met you yesterday at Old Bailey in the defendant's antechamber.
But you also said that we only just arrived in London. How did you know that?
I observed a passport and travel ticket protruding from your breast pocket.
Oh.
So I was reasonably confident you must have only just arrived in the country. And on top of that, you accepted their case against that particular prosecutor, telling me you were unaware of London's court affairs.
The Reaper of the Bailey? I walked right into that one, didn't I?
Then there's a red ink stamp on the back of Susie's hand. You were given that when you visited the local prison to meet with the suspect, weren't you? Early today? Ah! They use those stamps to keep a close eye on comings and goings, you see? I didn't realize. And a red stamp is only used for people visiting foreign inmates. So that told me that even though you had only yesterday concluded the trial of Magnus McGiddon, the two of you had already called to visit a foreign inmate at a local prison. However, neither of you was wearing a particularly sad expression on your face, so I concluded that the prisoner was unlikely to be a friend or relative. That led me to believe that you must have accepted a new case.
I see.
But how could you have known that the trial was tomorrow? Well, having barely been home a few hours yesterday, heard he solved yet another case. It's obviously amused him. He told me he'd caught a Japanese man who's bawling and trembling.
A Japanese man? Well, clearly that must have been...
It's your Natsume. Actually, no, Susie. He said it was Runo. Now, Runo has a fancy Japanese sword. And I think your outfit's called a kimono, isn't it, Susie? Well, anyways, it was clear to me that the both of you came from Japan yourselves. So I put two and two together and decided you must be defending the Japanese man Hurley caught. And there's only one conclusion those facts could lead me to. You both came here to ask Hurley about the case. There's a note on the mantelpiece that says the man's trial will be tomorrow. Hurley is always stabbing his nose with a knife, you know. He is silly. And that's all there was to it, really. Thank you for listening. I'm Iris Wilson, and that was one of my great deductions. Well, what's the winner? Were my deductions correct?
They were spot on.
That was amazing, Iris. Truly a great deduction.
You even managed that certain something of Mr. Holmes' delivery.
Oh, well, I was just copying Hurley's style for that. This is really good news. You could tell us all about the case of the Japanese man. You will, won't you, Iris? Please.
The case of the Japanese man. So yesterday, Mr. Holmes apprehended a Japanese man. You were saying?
Yes. Hurley had just arrived back in London after his sea voyage. But the police were waiting for him at the railway station to take him directly to the crime scene.
Sorry, I got the hiccups. The great detective is a popular man, it seems.
Apparently a woman was stabbed on a quiet street somewhere in town. There were witnesses who had seen a short, shifty-looking, stooped man running from the scene.
A short, stiff, shifty-looking, stooped man? Mr. Natsume. Mr. Natsume, beyond a doubt. Sasaki-san said that he didn't see anyone else on the street at all. But it seems there were witnesses after all.
Harry used his great detective power to determine the man's address. It was a lodging room very nearby. He went directly there with the police. And what did they find? A short, shifty-looking, stooped man, shivering in fear.
Mr. Holmes' great deduction certainly hit the mark that time.
Of course he did. He's a great detective.
Still, that means the incident occurred only 2 days ago. Surely tomorrow is too soon for the trial, isn't it?
Definitely. We have no time to investigate properly. Harry says that London is rife with crime.
Oh.
Scotland Yard is doing its best, but they can't stay on top of it, apparently. Oh dear, I hadn't realized the situation was so dire. That's why they can't afford to spend too much time investigating cases and trying the criminals in court. Stabbing money up or short, crimes are usually pinned on the first suspicious person. That's terrible.
I suppose it's the harsh reality of the workings of the world's greatest justice system. I suppose it is, but in that case, I don't hold out much hope for Saseki-san. Thank you for answering so many of our questions, Iris. This has been very informative.
Don't mention. Oh, by the way, I have a question. I have a favor to ask.
Yeah, Iris?
So, anyways, Holmesy hasn't noticed that I got rid of his 15 tons of opium. Please, if he asks, just take the fall for it, please. They were suffocating me against the wall. Oh, you're most welcome. I've had so much fun.
Do you happen to know where Mr. Holmes is at the moment? As you guessed, we'd very much like to ask him some questions about this case as well.
Oh, well, I expect Hurley's to investigate the scene.
Of the case involving Mr. Natsume, you mean?
Yes, Mr. Nuts, Ume. Hurley said he was going to be going to the man's lodging. If you leave now, you'll probably catch him there. Iris, do you know where their lodgings are? Well, I imagine the police has to investigate the scene of the crime themselves, aren't they? Did you happen to go across a detective by the name of Gregson while you were there?
Yes, we know Inspector Grayson.
Ah, goody. In that case, give Gregson this from me, would you? If you do that, I'm sure he'll tell you what you want to know.
What is this?
A 5-shilling piece of postcard, it seems.
Iris's postcard's been entered into the court record. Iris officially bribes the police. They're on Iris's payroll.
It reads, "Tell the gentleman in the black whatever he wants to know. I trust you that it won't be a problem. Gosh, that will make the inspector help us, will it?"
Well, thank you, Iris. We'll give it a try.
Good luck, then. I'm going to return to writing my manuscript, The Spickled Band, and I'll be making it more special blends of tea, so come back again soon. We'd be delighted. Thank you so much, Iris. Well, Mr. Naruto, it's back to the scene of the crime.
Okay, yes. So, somewhat dubious that they would exert any influence over the Scotland Yard at all. We headed back to the scene where Iris's curious note and one of the world's heaviest silver coins in hand. To be continued. Okay, I was honestly not expecting that. I'm so used to the traditional Ace Attorney games where basically they say, oh, hey, you're doing the investigation all in one section. I haven't expected to see just the courtroom appear. 19th of February, 2:38 p.m., Briar Road. Sorry, got some gas. Ugh, sorry, I'm a little gassy. It looks as though the police are still here, carrying on with their investigation.
Perfect. So let's find Inspector Grace as quickly as possible.
Yes, and let's see if he'll take a break from his chips to look at that silver tip Iris gave for him. We'll do that in the next episode, though. Anyways, I really appreciate you stuck around to watch this episode. You're a great viewer, and hope you come back for the next one. If you like this video, like, subscribe, comment, share, do everything you want. Without, see you next time. Bye.